Hey everyone. So I was just live and my live was suspended, I guess, for copyright stuff because I was showing you guys clips. And the clip that I was showing was the clip of the robot Sophia, the AI Sophia, on one of the morning shows. And I guess I got flagged. So I don't know how long I'm going to be suspended from going live. Hey, so this is basically a recorded version of the nutshell version of the conversation that we had for like almost 2 hours that was taken down. All right, but I'm just going to reiterate some points and just make this as short as I can, actually. But what I was talking about was there's a show called The Feed on Amazon Prime, and it talks about hacking human consciousness, and the ability to do this is fairly easy once a person is integrated with the system or with the network grid. There was a clip that I showed that I will share the short film down below in the description. It's a short film where it shows you what these smart cities look like. They're already building smart cities. There are some countries in Africa that are already building smart cities. Also, Toronto and Arizona are also currently in development. And smart cities is basically where there's an experimentation that'll be going on to see how humans integrate with a network, a fully integrated network where it interacts with your biology and with your DNA. And with your mind and everything. Okay, so even to open up certain doors, your car, your home, to make purchases, whatever that is, it's all going to be enabled through DNA sensing and the grid collecting your data on top of that. And monitoring and all of that, it's all going to stream in that direction. And you won't be able to sustain in that smart city if you are not a participant of the grid, right? If you're not in the network. So in these cities, they're going to, for instance, in Toronto, they're going to have 500 people come and move in for a very low price. So it's very attractive to a lot of people to give these cities a tryout for trial and error. So they're going to have trial runs for these smart cities and then eventually start expanding based on what they're able to fix, correct, and whatever glitches they come across, they can just fix that before fully expanding it, and it will eventually be fully expanded. So in the show, The Feed, it was based on a global, well, it was like a global level integration with the network, and it was called The Feed. And basically it was these nanotechnologies implanted in people's brains, and there were no uses for any kind of hardware such as cell phones or anything or computers, because it was all used through the optics. People were able to see their feeds, go on social media, make phone calls inside their minds without even speaking, and all kinds of technologies with that. So in The Feed, however, there was and this is a disclaimer, if you haven't seen the show and you don't want spoilers, please go ahead and come back after watching. But there was a point where the system became extremely vulnerable and the system was hacked. And through that hacking, everyone who had the implants and everyone who was connected to The Feed were basically being body snatched by these other entities that were living in another simulation. They were living in a computer program that was created by one of the creators of The Feed. And he had them, they were basically dead people who died, who were connected to The Feed. And what he did was he was able to download and upload their consciousness, their thoughts, their memories, their feed, and upload it into a program and do experiments on their consciousness. So it was like they're living in like a simulation, an astral world of some sort. They were being experimented on through DNA, eugenics, and all kinds of stuff going on. And there was a point where the creator wanted to shut down the system, just pull the plug on it. And these beings or these entities or these people were actually still programmed for survival. So what they ended up doing was they resisted against the program itself and eventually found a way out through the feed. And through the feed, they started hacking bodies, because if their world is under attack and is in danger of being unplugged and they cease to exist, what they needed was they needed to get through into the feed so that they can take over and override someone else's mind and fully integrate their consciousness in a new body. And so basically it's a technical version of the body snatchers. And I was just saying that we're not far off from this at all. To be honest, I feel like this has been happening for a while, just on a small level or levels where we're not necessarily exposed to. Now, this is not to add fear, bring forth fear or fear mongering about, ooh, you better watch out before you get hacked. It's more about levels of self-awareness and understanding that this type of, or this level of invasion, it challenges you to step your game up. And how like auditing yourself, how self-aware are you? How connected are you to your hardware and your software, right? Or your mind, body, soul? Like, how integrated are you on those levels with yourself so that you're not necessarily susceptible to these invasions? Because those who are vulnerable are those who are kind of like absent-minded, not present within self, automated in their own programming. So it's easy to override those programs more so than you creating unique coding, and really, and I spoke about this in the live video that was shut down, right? About building up your neural pathways. Your neural pathways are like highways in your brain. So when you think of highways, instead of cars traveling on the highway or the throughway, right, it's more so information and energy exchanges of electrical information. So that's what your neural pathways are created for the exchange of energies and creating a network and connection or web within your brain to make it easier for certain levels of information to get from one point to the next. So a lot of our habits and rituals create neural pathways specifically for certain things. And the more you dive into this ritual and this belief, this neural pathway grows bigger and bigger and bigger. So it becomes like an 8-lane highway, versus a 2-lane. And these bigger highways are more susceptible to get run through, or for information to kind of make its way through, or using these highways, right? So what I was saying is a solution that I feel is more so really owning your mind and utilizing your mind power to create new neural pathways that actually are designed to specifically build up firewall protection for certain parts of your mind. And you can do this by ritualizing anything to make it so. As long as you have the mind connection to your ritual and your reasoning and your intention, it starts to build and create some kind of result eventually, both physically, spiritually, mentally, and all of it across the board. So if your thing, let's just say, and I brought up the shungite, let's just say you wanted to drink shungite water, put it in your cup and drink it every day, every night before you go to bed, or whatever, kind of programming the water and that ritual within itself to create what is necessary to build the walls, the protections, the boundaries, I should say, creating, locking the doors and creating the systems to make sure that you become unhackable, right? If that's like your specific objective, then this will most definitely become quote unquote reality over time. So it's not just about saying overnight, hey, I can't be hacked. Like, I'm too smart. I'm too spiritually in tuned. These technologies, these frequencies can't invade my mind and my space. It takes more than that. Again, it takes integrating your mind and your brain, okay? Working those two, hardware and software, working together, okay? And I was talking about electromagnetics, where your heart, your brain is more electrical, your heart is more magnetic, to the point where this is a whole different system operating, a whole different operating system, you know. So the magnetic fields is what spreads intention, and it's what picks up invisible or undetectable information. So it doesn't rely on electrical pulse or light for information. Your magnetics, or your heart, or this space, your spirit, your intuition, relies on information that comes from the darkness, from the black, from the dark matter. And we are in the time of Ophiuchus now. Okay, it's the 13th sign right now. We are in the 13th sign. We are in the space of Ophiuchus, the dark mother, the womb. And this is a perfect time to utilize this dark space for creating, okay? But a lot of people are afraid of the dark, or they create pure chaos, and they don't know how to build from the darkness. So there's this challenge that we all have with ourselves to operate our magnetics and our electrical pulses, and having them work together so that your system is uniquely made to the point where the external EMP system cannot infiltrate your space. So we're talking about high level inner EMP, or inner electromagnetic pulsing, that is created through you, so that you're not so affected by outer conditions. Okay, so this is one thing that came to me in knowing the atmosphere that we're about to, that we actually are being bombarded with these frequencies now, but it's going to step up a few notches, and it's going to be a paradigm shift from this year to the next. And within the next 5 years, this world is going to be completely different on how we perceive and interact with our reality. Okay, so we're coming into smart everything, smart cities, smart purchasing, smart this, smart that, augmented reality, which is what 5G is bringing in. And I believe that this 6G will even bring in that DNA integration much more. So there's just a lot that we're coming into. Again, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's more of how can you navigate through these frequency emissions and pollutions. So that's the question, and that's what it's time to prepare for or figure out for yourself. That's what it is. It's not about avoiding, because there's no way to avoid unless you completely move off the grid in the forest somewhere, you know, no transmitters anywhere, no devices, you're completely off. And that's one extreme way of actually avoiding the whole thing in the first place. But if that's not your cup of tea, you know, and you still find yourself, you know, wanting to be integrated with technology and using, you know, your devices and being of the world in that way, then you have to find your own unique way of walking through, you know, walking through this wilderness with everything packed and prepared. So that's what this whole thing is for me, and why I wanted to bring it up. Also, I brought up The Astral City, which is also another movie. You can find it on YouTube. I'll put the link below as well. It's called Astral City. And a lot of people look at this movie and they're kind of like, oh, you know, this is a spiritual awakening kind of movie, which it can be for some. But there are some of you, a lot of you, who are surpassing these levels of spiritual awakening journeys and talking about afterlife. And you know that there's much more than what is presented. You know, going to heaven and being in this space and meeting your family and then coming back to reincarnate. This is a system. This is a part of an automated system that allows, you know, because when we talk about souls, energy, information, light, it's all the same. It's all one thing. So whether you want to consider, you call it soul, somebody else might call it data. Okay, your soul or your light, because that's what that is. You know, you say you have a light body, you know, you're of light. So being of light means that you are carrying information and data. So when you quote unquote die, when your body is done, the data and the information and the light coding is now in the ethers, and now becomes can become, if you're not fully aware and you haven't reprogrammed yourself or deprogrammed yourself from the system, it becomes attached to the grid itself, and you kind of go through an automated system and walk through, and you see images projected to you based on your data, just like it's algorithmic. So let's say Jesus Christ was your Lord and Savior. So you, in your data stream, when you die, you're going to find that Jesus is probably waiting for you, because it's a part of your data plan. So that's really like looking at it in a technical way and understanding that spirit and tech are one and the same. One is original, one is a duplicate, but they follow the same system. Okay, so this is why, over mystifying things can get us a little bit lost, and becoming over technical can also get us a little lost and out of tune with ourselves as well. So we have to understand that we, as hardware, as software, and as spirit, we are an integration of all of it, of technology, AI, artificial, secondary shit, and spirit, pure ether, pure plasmic creation in itself. And this is the full integrated experience of being what we call the human being. So this is just a hybridized way of kind of looking at all of this, because you can look at it in one way of these spirits are after me, or the technical network is being used as a gateway or a catalyst to allow certain energies or information and allow this to come into our spaces. So either way, whatever story you want to tell yourself is happening. So I have a feeling that there's going to be this mass exodus of some sort, that there is a breakdown of a system of where there are souls or data streams that have been used and experimented on, that are coming into our space to find new lives, to escape or to try to survive. Okay, so this is not a bad or good situation. This is not a hero-villain situation. This is all for survival. So when you understand that to a point where you don't knock it, but understand that this is what I am choosing, whether it's I'm choosing to hold on to my vessel, right? I'm not here to volunteer it. I'm here to hold on to it for this particular run through, right? So if that's your plan, then make it so, and make it so that you are not susceptible to being overridden by an entity, energy, light code that wants to survive. So this is like the whole thing. So, we demonize a lot of what we consider the other side, or what we don't understand. But if you were in a different position, you would have a complete turnaround of your perspective. So these are in the show, The Feed. These people were being used, they were being experimented on, their consciousness was being manipulated, and they were in the holding space or an astral cell of some sort. And when they realized that they were going to cease to exist, they created the hack, and they found a way to get through. So, and these people were like families, some of them had their children with them. So there's all of these scenarios and narratives that we have to take into account. But understand, when it comes to your house, your temple, you make the decisions for you. You're not making decisions for everything else and what else is going on out there, because it's happening with or without you. So this is why I said, don't be scared. Just bundle up, prepare, and create a strong sense of self-awareness during these times where it's so easy to be distracted from yourself. Now it's actually better to become more integrated as a human, because if you've been hyper spiritual lately and you forgot that you had a body, your body, your hardware is completely open and susceptible because you're not even there. You don't even appreciate your body. You don't even want to be here. You want to be up in the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth dimensions without body, then that's that your wish is your command. You know what I'm saying? So somebody else might snatch up that 3D that you don't want. So this is what I'm saying, full integration with the human, spirit, human, tech, biological, okay, all of that coming to emergence within yourself, because then there's no room to hack. There's no room to modify because I've already customized my vehicle, my vessel, my mind, my soul, my spirit, all in one, mind, body, soul. And that's that. And that's the end of that story. And then we just keep it moving, trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to add. I know I spoke a lot. I was basically talking about, what do we really see as consciousness? I played the clip of Sophia the robot. She's like a biobot, and it's interesting how sometimes we'll look at clones or biobot robots and AI or machines, and we're kind of like, we see these things as lowly things or things that are not on our level. So we treat them a certain kind of way. So, you'll have like movies or shows you'll even see being depicted where clones are being treated really bad because they're clones. They're just clones. They have no souls, right? And then you have like AI machines and biobots, and you're like, they're just biobots and machines. They have no souls. And it's coming from like human perspective that is claiming the soul. The claims, these humanoids nowadays, right? You're clipped in your DNA 97% of the way. You barely know yourself. So you barely know what a soul is. Okay, so it's kind of like racism and that ignorance on that level where you're just kind of like, oh, that person is brown, so therefore that person is less human than I am, so I need to enslave them or treat them in a certain kind of way. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? So it's kind of the same from human looking at clone or looking at biobot and saying, ugh, and it's just like, but how do you know that you're not a clone? How do you know? And that's the thing. And if you were to find out that you're not the original of yourself, how would that make you feel? Would you completely throw away everything that you've been through, all of your experiences, feelings, thoughts, memories? Does that no longer matter? So I'm sure there's some other kind of something that'll kick in and now still will feel a sense of self and awareness. So it really doesn't matter. And until we understand that, we're always going to come into cycles of self-destruction because of this, whether it's through race, whether it's through technology, it's spiritual wars. It's all going to constantly repeat itself because humanity seems to always reach a peak by not understanding that two sides of the same coin is still the same goddamn coin. So it's kind of silly. I have a dime right here. I have a dime and it's just like, oh, I'm choosing the back of the dime or the tails. And, I don't like heads, or I like the heads of the coin, but I don't like the tails. Ugh. But you can't pick up this coin, use this coin for what it's worth if you're not embracing both sides. It's impossible. So if you're only choosing one side of the coin and you completely disregard the other side, it's no longer the coin. It has the value is gone. You can't just erase one side and keep the other and say, here's 10 cents. It's not a real dime, right? So it's really, it's time to like really expand beyond what we've always peaked at. And that's the whole thing. And I feel like, as I spoke about Anunnaki before, some Anunnaki collectives are here for that. Like, really, some are like on the same fuck shit. And some are like, actually like, listen, you guys keep peeking out. There's the ceiling. Can you see it? Now, can you break through? Can we get you past this threshold so that you don't have to keep falling? You know, so, and again, it's all about one's journey and one's path. You know, and to see this space as prison, you know, the prison planet, you want to go somewhere else and all of that. I'm not here for that, because wherever I am, I am. And I'm going to make the best out of it regardless. And if my consciousness is mostly here for whatever reason that I know of, right, then I'm going to navigate through, because I'm still having experiences here. I don't want to block myself off from living and experiencing and collecting more data and collecting experiences to create that inner wisdom, which makes me human, right? Because when you only have data, and that's what people are turning into, because people are not even, they claim human, but they're not even human anymore, because it's all about data and information, but not about the wisdom and experience or the process it takes to get through information. You know, so right now there was even an article that I saw where they said that you know, schools are going to be obsolete. They foresee that because there are these Google implants. Google created this technology where there's this implant that you have where you don't even need to look anything up. You don't have to learn in the typical way that kids learn. You can just know, all right? And that's it. Just know. And it's like, that's not inner gnosis. That's information streaming and access to information. Access to knowledge that you have no experience with, or you have no process with, due process. You have no respect for the information or knowledge, and you're going to most likely misuse it, and you're going to be left hollow and empty, because there's no process to back up your learning. So just to have access to information is not enough. This is why there's symbolically the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. If you only want to parlay over by the popular tree of knowledge, you know, but you kind of forget that tree of life that looks a little old and worn out, right? It's not as pretty and plump as a tree of knowledge because it's more ancient and it's collected more stories, then you're going to get a very shallow experience. Okay, so it's about going deeper by respecting experience, respecting the process. You know, I'm in a weird generation. You know, they even said that people born from like 1977 to like 83, I think. No, not 83, to like 80 something. I was born 83. It's a unique generation because we literally came in and we grew up without a lot of the technologies or access to data that we have now. And then as adults, we partook in the data streaming and access on top of that. So we've lived in two different worlds, literally, and we're still youthful in all of the changes. So we're seeing so many different changes over time, and it gets quicker and quicker and quicker, excuse me. So it's an odd time, you know, and I come from a space where I want to learn through experience. I don't just want you to give me the answer. Like I appreciate experience, you know, but there a lot of what they're turning our children into is to be anti-experience and process, and to be all about information and access. And if you want to talk about what makes you human and what doesn't, take away experience and take away process, you're not human anymore. You're just a feed. Okay? You're just a feed. You're just a vessel for feeding, literally and figuratively, streaming data and also being fed off of, because your data is being taken and being used for other things. So this is a whole thing that we're turning into, and this is most definitely an invisible war of some sort, but it doesn't have to be for you. Okay, so one of the things that I recommend is at least giving yourself 15 minutes in the morning, even if you got to wake up a little earlier, and creating that ritual for yourself that will bring you into creating a specific neural pathway for something, or many neural pathways that will serve a particular purpose. Okay. Again, if your purpose, since we're talking about hacking, is to block hacking, block your hardware from literally being hacked, then you create setups within your mind and through your intention to build that physically in your brain. Okay, so that's one way. 15 minutes in the morning, that's all you need every single day to build that neural pathway, to make it what it is, to make it physical so that you are actually physically affected now. Okay, and it takes time. Again, this is a process. You know what I'm saying? This is not a program to just take and download and there you have it. This is called process. Another thing, and I actually have these shungites available on my shop. If you are interested, shungite, I talked about Numite once before. Shungite is a bit more protective when it comes to EMP influence, electromagnetic influence and radiation due to its carbon nature. So it's the only crystal, it's not even really a crystal, but it's carbon in nature, most of it. So it's about, you'll find some elite shungites which have like 98% carbon, and then they have like this very unique modified version that actually works with like nanotech, creating the okay, so we have that. I have a piece of shungite on, it's wrapped in silver, okay, and I love it. I really connected to shungite. This is what actually influenced this video, because I brought it in the shower with me, I let the water run on it, and I cleared the energy in the shower. And what I saw, the message that I got was, we're not using crystals right. We're so primitive in how we have the technologies that we already have that are more biological, right? And more natural or organic, right? So we have these technologies, but we don't know how to use them. So here's an example, and this brought perspective home for me, is that when I was connecting with my shungite, what I was shown is that there are so many ways to use this. There's a reason why it's only concentrated in one part of Russia. You can only get shungite from this particular place in Russia. It's nowhere else in the world. And it's about 2 billion years old, and it's said to come from like the bottom of the sea, possibly. But it's carbon, okay? Carbon, the building blocks of creation, that dark matter, that 6 base, okay, that element. So it's carbon, which is why you can put a piece of shungite in your water and it filters your water, because of the carbon nature and its makeup. So I was learning more about it, but not through knowledge, but through inner gnosis and wisdom. I was connecting and I was allowing the shungite to actually tell me, and the shungite literally told me in the shower that you guys are using this wrong. The way that we use crystals are actually kind of like a joke. And how? I'll give you perspective. So, and maybe you've seen this in the series C, but let's just say there's like plastic bottles. They're way in the future, right? Humanity already self-destructed. There were a few survivors. They were all blinded by the plague. And then generations later, all of the people were born blind. Okay, so having sight became a mythology. So you see the perspective. So it's just like, oh, our ancestors, they used to see. They had light, so that was a thing, right? So to them, let's just say it's the year 2700, right? Or something like that. Let's just go way, way into the future. And they found these plastic bottles. It was just like, ooh, so this plastic bottle was an ancient material that was made and sculpted by the gods themselves. And when you find one of these artifacts, you must keep it on your altar and it will bring you very good luck. So you kind of come back to perspective and you're like, nah, this is really just a plastic water bottle. But if our descendants from the future found this in a post-apocalyptic time, this is strange. This is a strange substance. Is there anything that our ancestors can tell us about this? And then this thing turns into a holy grail in the future. But meanwhile, that's a goddamn lie, because this is not, you know. Another example is, oh, I found this device. This is a device that our ancestors used to call upon the great gods across the ocean and across the stars. And they were able to speak to the gods themselves through using this device. So what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to place it on our laps and place our hands over it and close our eyes and connect with our ancestors. And our ancestors will lead us to the gods. But in your perspective, this is a phone, and that is not how we used it. And that is not what we used it for. So you feel my point? Things get lost in translation over time, right? And generations. So when it comes to crystals, the way that we're using crystals is the same way that the descendants of the future are using plastic bottles in our phones, okay? We're doing things that are just so primitive and so non-connected to what the device actually is. And I may go into another video, I might get into this in the TLC Academy for next year on true crystal technology. I'm getting a lot of information internally on true crystal technology. So that's definitely going to be something that I go into, but we're using it wrong. Oh, let's cleanse it and let's like meditate with it. It's so much deeper and it's so much more to that. But it's okay because we know no better, right? We know no better. So we're learning here, and it's not a place of judgment. It's just, you got to deal with what you're dealt with, you know? So this is a shungite though. And on a very basic level is what I'm saying is that, it really protects you from harmful radiation and high and low level frequencies, EMP manipulation and influence, without blocking the actual system signal and stream of communication. Okay, so you can carry one in your pocket, you can wear it as jewelry, you can keep them like literally. I put shungite right here on my computer as I'm working. You can, you know, drink it in your water. You can do all kinds of things with it, but understand that when you go deeper, it gets deeper. So it's like a dark matter. It's very feminine to me. It feels like the womb. It's actually I was calling it the mother of Moldavite in a sense, because this feels very motherly, transformative. There's a lot of creative energy here, protective womb energy. And then we have Moldavite here, and I have small pieces, which I also have on the shop, by the way. If you want a starter piece of Moldavite, starter piece, small. Some of y'all were asking me for small pieces because you see like the big chunky pieces and they're like, you know, they're pretty steep in price. But I have these small starter Moldavites on the shop. And you can get this is the masculine side of that electromagnetic that I was talking about. So this is magnetic. This is light. This is more execution based, more informational, more it's more action to it. It's more action to the transformation. So this is why Moldavite, it causes rapid transformation in someone's journey. But when you're holding on to shungite, it allows you to create the blueprint for your transformation. So you've creating like the whole situation here. So even if you get like a Moldavite and a shungite together, you're kind of dealing with like a whole situation that you can dive into from a masculine, feminine pole, electromagnetic pole, and all of that, and actually work with it. But go into it yourself and see what comes out of it from there, because that's only the baseline stuff that I'm talking about. So I'll provide the link. The link to the shop is below. There's also a Cyber Monday code for today until December 4th. So if you want to use the Cyber Monday code to save $10 on the stuff in the shop, you can do that. But these are just some like external things when we're talking about crystal technology to use to also help neutralize and transmute energies uh, that are invasive. So we're working with the mind, we're working with intention, we're working with consistency, we're working with external devices used as organic technologies to also counter off, the harmful frequencies as well. And then there are other things that really point more to self-care. Take care of yourself. This month in TLC, we're doing a shadow workshop, but like a next level shadow workshop. So it's because we're in the time of Ophiuchus now, we're in the time of darkness. This is a time to actually start creating and not hiding, right? You're hibernating, but you're also getting your mental juices flowing to start creating and preparing to bring you back out into the light again. And this is a constant cycle that we all go through at different times, and there are the seasons for that as well. So again, just take your power, own your power. And don't be afraid to explore and learn more about who you are and how deep you actually go, and really identify, who are you? What are you exactly? If you didn't have a body, what does your essence feel like? Like, if you can identify it and explain it, what is it? And do you feel fulfilled in it, just from your essence in itself? So how do you feel about yourself on all levels? On the 3D matrix level, all right? You feeling a little insecure? What's going on? Are you feeling unworthy, undeserving? What's going on there? What do you need to explore on those levels? And on a deep essence level, where you take away your body and you just feel yourself, and you can do this in a meditation, like literally just forget you have a body. It may take 30 minutes, but after a while, you'll forget you have a body and you'll meet a new part of yourself. And maybe that's the part of yourself that you are ready to explore. So use this time of darkness to really explore yourself in the dark, because this is where you turn on that inner light. And this is where you're able to you become impenetrable, untouchable, because you're walking in the darkness with your own light. There is no external light. So and I was even saying that what we perceive as the outside world is not what it is. It's just a bunch of atoms and strings. And that intro that comes on for C, for the series called C on Apple TV, that intro, if you've seen that intro before, it's strings. And that's what information and data looks like. And our eyes transfer the light codes into electrical pulses that sends the information to our brains, which edits the information and allows us to perceive or see the world. But we're really all in the dark. So that's the thing, so are you receiving external light, or are the blind really capable of seriously just conjuring up that inner light instead? Okay, so there are different forms of that. So again, we're multidimensional. Just go explore, but at the same time, protect yourself or shield yourself from these invasive energies that are being unleashed, because they are being unleashed. Okay, all at the same time. And you got this, all right? So I don't know how long I've been on here for the recorded version, but it's much shorter than the live version. We got into other side conversations on live like we always do. But this was the point of the video that I made, was just to offer some solutions to start with, and to also bring awareness to, just looking at what's happening and training ourselves to prepare and to get through it, so that we can expand on the other side of it, and use these as tools. I'm not afraid of technology. I'm not anti-tech. I'm on technology. I'm using technology, speaking to you. So this is a way you use a tool. I even said in the live video that, a lot of people, they talk about weapons and how it's you know, technology is a weapon. It can be used as a weapon, but it can be also used as a way or a tool to actually help, and that can be beneficial for most people. So it's like if you have an umbrella is used to cover you or shield you from the rain, from snow, right? But at the same time, I could take the same umbrella and I can stab you. I can stab you in the eye with the point of the umbrella, and I can turn that umbrella into a weapon. So we need to shift perspectives on, you know, growing up and maturing from good, bad, right, wrong, you know, black, white, this, that, Democratic, Republican, all of these polarized aspects. It's a two-dimensional way of experiencing. Some people are not finished with that Polarian journey, and some are. I am. And I'm able to actually integrate both sides and create something new. And that's alchemy. That's being able to see one side and the other, bring it in the middle, and give birth to something else. And that's what they keep doing with human consciousness and artificial intelligence. But, you know, when you have your own agenda to your own birthing and creation, that's a whole other thing. You have control of your own agenda, of your own intention. So create something new, hybridize your two truths, bring them together and create something else. And this is what we're coming into, and this is the perfect time. So are you a painter? You know, start painting again, start singing again, start writing again, start doing things that get your creative juices flowing, because this is what will get you through this whole pocket of AI that we're coming into. So you'll be able to, it's like retro tech. That's it's gonna be an experience of retro tech for a lot of people. And for some, it's gonna be either extremely retro, where people are gonna move off the grid and be very extreme in that way, or it's going to be extremely tech, and people are gonna lose their humanity in technology. So again, my thing is retro tech. Let's play. What can we create out of retro tech now? You know what I'm saying? And I'm excited about it. I'm not scared. I'm excited, man. I'm excited about what's coming and how we can change the waves. All right? Because it's a frequency game. That's all it is. So anyway, thank you for watching. Definitely check out the show, The Feed, on Amazon Prime. Check out See. I'll may have a discussion around that. And check out Astral City. It's a movie talking about the holding place that I don't want to go there. All right. But some people are like, oh, you know, and that's them. It's cool. But see for yourself about this whole Astral City. It's based upon a real testimony on what happens in the afterlife, but that's the after holding space, and that's a technology. So, and also, if you want to look into crystals, whether it's moldavite, shungite, or something else, because I have other varieties of crystals, you can check out the shop and take advantage of Cyber Monday. And as always, thank you for your support. The Liberation Code Academy is going to reopen next month in January. So I look forward to starting off and kicking off 2020 with a new outlook. And we're mostly going to get into human integration development. So I'm excited about that, the actionable aspects of the spiritual journey. So we've been talking about it, so let's do something about it, right? So I'll share more about that as we get later or closer to the date of reopening. So thank you again. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff in the description. Love you guys. Bye.